Hello, and welcome to Watch This Space. I am Eli Nada, and today I will be talking about all of the currently operating probes in our solar system from Mercury outwards. First, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration's Messenger spacecraft, launched in 2004, the first probe to orbit Mercury ever, is studying that planet's surface and atmosphere. Mercury doesn't really have much of an atmosphere, but Messenger is studying it anyway. Next out is Venus. There, the European Space Agency's Venus Express spacecraft, launched in 2005, is studying the planet's atmosphere. Now we come to the Sun probes. Some of you may be wondering why we didn't talk about these first, since the Sun is obviously closer to the Sun than Mercury is. The answer to this is simple. These probes are not orbiting the Sun closer in than Mercury. Most of them are actually placed at the Sun-Earth Lagrange point L1, situated between Earth and the Sun. The first of these is NASA's GGS Wind spacecraft, launched in 1994, which, as its name suggests, is studying the solar wind, as well as the Sun's magnetosphere. Also at L1 is ESA and NASA's SOHO spacecraft, launched in 1995, which is studying the Sun's interior, the solar corona, and the solar wind. The third and last spacecraft currently studying the Sun from L1 is NASA's ACE spacecraft, launched in 1997, which is studying solar wind, the solar corona, and galactic cosmic rays. Next, orbiting the Sun with orbits just above and just below Earth's, the Stereo A and B probes, launched in 2006, are watching the Sun for solar flares, which they can see before the solar flares rotate into Earth's field of view. Moving back to planetary probes, next we see the Moon, our nearest celestial neighbor. First, orbiting the Moon, we find the two Artemis spacecraft, which are two former NASA space weather probes. They launched in 2007 and are now studying the interactions between the Moon and the solar wind. NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter spacecraft, launched in 2009, is also orbiting the Moon to examine the lunar surface in detail and also to study the radiation in lunar space. The last of the lunar orbiting space probes is LADEE, launched in September 2013, a NASA spacecraft studying the Moon's thin exosphere and any dust which may be floating or orbiting in low lunar orbit. Down on the lunar surface, the Chinese Chang'e 3 lander, launched in December 2013 along with the U2 rover, is examining the lunar surface. Moving on away from the Sun, we come to Mars. Now, there are a lot of probes studying Mars. In fact, the Red Planet plays host to more probes currently operating in orbit or on the surface than any other planet in the solar system, with 2 rovers and 3 orbiters, as well as 2 more on the way there. First among the orbiters, we see NASA's Mars Odyssey, launched in 2001, which is studying Martian water and volcanism. Odyssey is the longest running Mars spacecraft, having been at Mars for more than 12 Earth years. The second spacecraft orbiting Mars is ESA's Mars Express spacecraft, launched in 2003, which was also designed to search for water, as well as to study the red planet's structure and composition. The third and last spacecraft currently orbiting Mars is NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, launched in 2005, which is surveying the red planet and studying its weather and surface. On that surface of Mars, there are currently 2 rovers, both NASA missions. The first, Mars Exploration Rover B Opportunity, launched in 2003, is studying the Martian surface geology and composition at Meridiani Planum. The other rover is the Mars Science Laboratory Curiosity rover, launched in 2011, which is studying whether its landing site at Gale Crater was ever capable of sustaining life. And that's not all. There are 2 missions currently en route to Mars. One is NASA's MAVEN orbiter, launched in November 2013 and arriving at Mars in September 2014, which will study the atmosphere of Mars and try to determine how Mars has lost its atmosphere over time. It used to be much more of an atmosphere and less of a little thin blanket of air. The other one, the Indian Space Research Organisation's Mars Orbiter mission, India's first interplanetary mission, which was launched in November 2013 and would also arrive in September, is intended mainly to be a technology demonstration and also to examine the red planet's atmosphere and surface with Indian-built instruments. Moving beyond Mars, NASA's Dawn spacecraft, launched in 2007 and currently en route from the asteroid Vesta to dwarf planet Ceres, is intended to study these two protoplanets and examine the role of size and water in the formation of the solar system. Beyond that, there is one mission currently on the way to Jupiter. NASA's Juno spacecraft, which launched in 2011 and is scheduled to arrive in 2016, will study the giant planet's atmosphere, gravity, and magnetic field. Although comets are generally considered to be far-flung objects, orbiting at great distances from the Sun, the only cometary explorer currently operating, ESA's Rosetta, which launched in 2004, is actually closer to the orbit of Jupiter. Rosetta, which carries a lander named Philae, will arrive at and orbit the comet 67P/Churyumov-Gerasimenko in August 2014. The Philae lander will land on the comet in November. At Saturn, NASA's Cassini orbiter, launched in 1997, is studying the ringed planet's moons and rings, along with the structure of Saturn itself. Much, much farther out than Saturn, NASA's New Horizons spacecraft, launched in 2006, is on its way to Pluto, which it will fly past in July 2015. New Horizons will study Pluto and its 5 moons, sending back data on their surface features, composition, and any atmospheres they may have. Way, way, way out beyond Pluto, so far out that light takes more than 12 hours to get there, are Voyagers 1 and 2, exploring the heliosheath at the edge of interstellar space. The Voyagers launched in 1977 and are the oldest currently operating space probes outside of Earth orbit. And that's all of the currently operating space probes not orbiting Earth. If you want to find out more about any of these missions, there are links to the official mission pages in the video description. Thanks for watching.